Hello, everybody. Hope all is well with you. I am for today Deaconess Demetra K. Oh, I am Deaconess Demetra K because I think we're going to have some church here today. I don't know, maybe we're not, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to come off as I'm, doing something wrong like blasphemy or anything like that. I do not mean to be doing that. But anyway, I should say that the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always try to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Also to my wonderful moderators, I love and appreciate you dearly for everything that you do in holding down the comment section. I could not and would not do this without you. Now, many of you all have already seen the thumbnail. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, but today we're going to be talking about the Black church dragging the congregation straight to hell with foolishness, right? Now, of course, as I said the other day, I didn't really care about Jamal Bryant's wife's dress, and I still don't. But I see that the conversation has grown legs, and, as I see it on my timeline, I'm like, this is straight up foolishness. Like, everybody's engulfed, right, into this conversation. Of course, another pastor has entered the chat, Patrick Wooden, I believe his name is. And so we're going to have a very interesting conversation about the foolishness, because the church, the Black church, is considered a pillar of the Black community and has been for a very, very long time. And I don't know, I personally haven't been to church in a long time, so I'm not quite sure what all they got going on up in there. But man, the stuff that I've seen lately is, are y'all sure y'all having church? Like, what are we doing? So anyway, we'll get into all of that. But in the meantime, let's see who's on here. Give everybody just a moment to come on. Let's see. Sister Shirley, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Cloudness, what's going on with you? Salute to you as well. Mike, nice to see you again. And Sister Shirley, I think I saw you earlier as well. Of course, y'all can catch me on the African Diaspora News channel at 11 a.m. Central Time, Tuesday through Thursday. I'll be there again tomorrow. Let's see. Buckhorse, how you doing? What you laughing about? Del Monte Green Beans, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And D-Mac, what's going on with you? Says, what's good? He says, first appearance of the new year. Well, I was here Sunday and Monday, so my third appearance, or maybe it's your first appearance. I think that's what you're saying. So, well, I'm glad to see you here. Emmett, how you doing? Says, we need to go back to the Bible. You know what's so funny that you mentioned that? I got mine. Believe it or not. I know y'all thinking, she got a Bible? Yeah, I got a Bible. And I used to read it. You can see I'll be, that's highlighter, right? I'll be up in there sometimes looking at stuff. And yeah, so it's my Bible. Anyway, Sister Shirley said, someone would have to pay me to attend a church nowadays. Yeah, it's looking that way, right? Albie Chill, how you doing? You can't handle the truth. What's going on with you? JJ Mars. So I'm gonna wait just a second to read all of you guys' comments after my commentary. But welcome to everyone. All right, let's go ahead and get into this conversation. So of course, you guys know, I think it was last week or so, and you guys can see on the thumbnail, but Pastor Jamal Bryant of New Birth, there, I think it's in Georgia, he took over Eddie Long's pulpit. That's a whole different conversation, right? But nevertheless, he and his wife, and I want to say her name is Giselle, but I know it's not. I know he got remarried, and the lady he's married to now kind of resembles his ex-wife. But anyway, we'll call her, I think she's a doctor as well. So Mrs. Bryant, for lack of better words, they went to a fundraiser for the Negro United Fund or something like that. And of course, y'all saw her dress. So the dress caused a lot of controversy, right? People's like, oh my God, she looks like she's naked under the dress. And so there's been all these conversations and think tanks. Is really nauseating, honestly, about it. But I guess it got back to Jamal Bryant that people didn't like what his wife had on, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show y'all a compilation of videos, one starting with Pastor Jamal Bryant addressing the dress, and then Patrick Wooden, he had something to say about it as well. Y'all ready? Here we go.
The internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all. She mad to me. If you wanted a first lady that looked like Little House on the Prairie and Holly Hobby, you got the wrong church. I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself.
I thank God that she dresses like a first lady. I thank God. I thank God for that. The lowering of standards are amazing. A preacher presented his wife the other day, and I guess you call that a flesh-colored dress. I don't know. It's black dress and flesh color. It gives the illusion that she's not wearing anything underneath. And I heard the preacher, when he defended her dress, by saying, first of all, he bought the dress. And then he said, I want to address people who don't know anything, who haven't been anywhere, who don't know nothing. So I guess our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore. Two. At least two. Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him. I said he presented his wife. And he said he bought the dress. Those are his words, not mine. There is nothing classy about that. There's nothing modest about that. He said we haven't been anywhere. What I would like to know is where have you been? Where did he go? So I'll make sure that I never go there, because I don't want to go anywhere, and I come back with that kind of a notion. Now I will say this, and this is a comment about my wife, not his wife. This is a comment about my wife. My wife wouldn't have done it, no matter what I said. She just would have said, honey, I wear this for you. I wear this for you at home when we know the grandkids aren't coming. Because there is such a thing as decency. Decency. Y'all don't like me. But in public, at an event where everyone will see, I don't know of a greater way for a man to demean his wife. And if he doesn't think that that is demeaning her, there is something wrong with him. But then again, we're also talking about the guy who looked at Cam Newton's legs and told Cam he had pretty legs.
Okay. So you saw the, Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant, his wife's name is Carrie, Dr. Carrie. So he basically, again, was addressing all the backlash and vitriol that was taking place outside of the event he was at with his wife. Again, they were not at church. They were at some fundraiser. But again, he says nobody talked about the $4 million that we raised and all that. And then that was Pastor Patrick Wooden from the Upper Room of God in Christ in Raleigh, North Carolina. Of course, y'all heard all that he said. And he said, I wasn't talking about his wife, but he likened her, the way she was dressed, to a $2 streetwalker. Okay. And then he also talked about decency and things like that. And he felt like Pastor Jamal Bryant was actually demeaning his wife, basically because he bought the dress. And he said, I bought the dress, right? He wanted her to shake it fast, show her what he's working with and all this other stuff. Again, my conversation really is not about the dress. It's about the foolishness that comes out of the church, because especially in today's time, I think people need a place to go where there is hope and there's inspiration and there's something they could take from it. But mind you, those two gentlemen, they addressed that straight from the pulpit of their church. It sounds like on Sunday, wherever it was, they had a lot of people in their church. From their pulpit, they addressed a dress. Y'all saw the dress. Now, as I think about the situation, I'm going to put up a couple of scriptures, which is why I'm calling myself deaconess today. I don't want to call myself apostle or pastor because I don't want to get a lightning bolt on me or anything like that. But let's see. Let's start with this one. And let me remove this just a second. Okay. Now, this one is a Revelation 3:16 says, so because you are lukewarm, neither hot or cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. Now, that was Jesus. Jesus was talking, and he's basically saying, hey, I need you to either be in the world or out, right? Out and with us, with God, not, straddling the fence and trying to figure out, well, today when I go to this fundraiser, my wife is going to wear this dress that appears to be see-through, even though the dress wasn't see-through, but it appeared to be see-through, right? Now, as I tell you, I used to go to church, and I was up under some very wise people. One of the pastors goes by the name of Pastor P, very wise woman. And she gave this analogy one time. She says, let's say you go around and you tell people, I don't drink alcohol, I'm sober, I don't drink. But one day you go into a bar. You go into a bar and you say, hey, can I have a glass of water? And you sit up at the bar, have a glass of water. Well, somebody else, let's say, come that knows you and has heard you say, I don't drink. They go into the bar and they see you at the bar. Now you're drinking water, right? But they go out and they go tell everybody, oh, I saw Sister So-and-so, a Deaconess Demetra K. I saw her at the bar. She had her tulips to a glass of alcohol. Yep, she was just throwing them back. Then I hear about it. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was just drinking water, right? And there's like, well, that's not what we heard. In fact, she took a picture of you. Well, Pastor P was basically saying it's all about perception. Because you probably shouldn't have been at the bar, drinking water in the first place. You might have went somewhere else and got some water. Now, were you doing anything wrong per se? No, but that perception is out there, right? I saw you at the bar and I saw you drinking. Now, most people think, okay, if you're at a bar and you're sitting at the bar and you got a glass, you're probably drinking alcohol. So I say all that to say, while Dr. Carrie Bryant's dress was not see-through, it gave the appearance that it is, right? Or that it was. Now, her husband, Jamal Bryant, says, well, we weren't at church. We were at, a fundraiser. But it's like, okay, going back to this lukewarm statement. So are you just a pastor when you're in the church? When you're in the church, are you just a pastor then? And then when you leave the church and everywhere else, you're not a pastor? And, again, to me, it ain't really about the dress. To me, it's about the confusion that the dress has caused, right? But when you're not at church, you have your wife dressed like that. I won't liken her to a $2 hooker. I wouldn't take it that far. I think that was wrong that the pastor, Patrick, wouldn't said that. But you bought the dress, and I'm in public relations for anybody who knows me. And there's a term called foreseeability. What Pastor Jamal Bryant should have thought about, I can't tell the man what to do, but I'm just kind of thinking, what you should have thought about is, okay, I like the dress. Now, man, it's fitting you fine. Whoa, it's a nice dress. However, if I'm trying to foresee everything that could happen, what the perception would be, yeah, it's possible somebody might think you're naked. Yeah, if I step back and you can't wear that. You fine and all. Yeah, you can walk around the house like that. But, I don't want people, I don't want the dress to distract from what we're doing. And most definitely, if I'm Jamal Bryant, right, I'm a man of God. I want to be perceived as a man of God anywhere. Okay. So you either going to be one way or the other. That's what Jesus said for those of y'all who go to church, right? All right. So let's take that down. Let's see. Remove that. Okay. Now, I also want to put this up. Now, this was Paul speaking. Now, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 14:33, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in churches of the saints. So he was basically saying the devil, right? The evil one, however you refer to him, he is the author of confusion. He keeps up a bunch of foolishness and nonsense and just a whole bunch of stuff to keep people distracted from the word of God. he was reminding, hey, God is not about confusion. God is going to let you know what it is. You're not going to really have to guess. He's not going to say, well, let's argue over the dress because, yes, she's not naked, but I don't see the problem. It's not going to have the church of the saints arguing. Is the dress bad? No, the dress is not bad. Mind your business. Oh, you guys are just jealous. God would not have that. I can't speak for God, but I don't think God ordained that, right? But again, if I was Pastor Brian and I'm not, those are the things that would have came to my mind. If you wear the dress, baby, and you fine, don't get me wrong, you're fine, coat, bottom, shaping. But if you wear that dress, is it going to cause confusion? Is it going to cause the saints to take their eyes away from God? Will that dress be put the attention on us? Again, I used to go to church, and our Bishop Louder was the pastor at the church that I went to. And he says, and he wore a robe all the time, right? A robe, a pastor's robe, and the choir had to wear a robe. And he says, this is done because we don't want any distractions. We don't want people looking at somebody in the wrong way, what they got on. He says, I don't want people to focus on what I have on. If we wear these robes, you're going to get the word, you're going to hear the music and all of that, right? No distractions. Because he says that the eyes and the attention should be on Jesus. That's who we're trying to lift up, right? Jesus. We're not trying to lift me up. We're not trying to lift up sister so-and-so, and maybe she got the, extra wide hips and she, whatever. She's feeling the spirit. But you ain't going to see all that because sister so-and-so got on the choir robe, right? So again, God is not the author of confusion. Can we all say that maybe that dress has caused confusion? Yeah. And again, I'm not talking about the lady. And y'all know how I feel about Jamal Bryant. I think, I have my issues with him. She's probably a nice lady or whatever the case is, but the dress has caused confusion. Okay. Now let me take that down. Now let me go here. Now it was too long for me to put it up, so you can break out your Bibles if you want, and you can read it. But 1 Timothy 2 and 9 through 10 says, I also want the women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothing, but with good deeds, appropriate for women who profess to worship God. Now that was Paul talking to Timothy. Now I know I've seen a lot of people kind of interpret the scripture, in different ways and things like that. It can mean a whole host of things, because women wear gold and things now. But if we're thinking about modesty, right? What does it mean to be modest? Like covered up and you don't have your breast, thighs and your legs and all that showing and all of that. Because I guess modesty means different things to a whole host of people, but I think we can all ascertain what it means. But I say all that to say, I don't know how modest the dress was or was not, but if you ask me, I don't think it was a modest dress, especially for a first lady. But again, Pastor Jamal Bryant has made the difference that, we wasn't at church, right? We weren't at church, so it doesn't matter. Now, let me take this down. With all that being said, and I could have gone on and on and on, with scriptures. I won't do that. With all that being said, you have these two pastors, and I'm sure Jamal Bryant is going to make a statement because they seem like they banging up in the church right now, right? Talking about each other's wives and things like that. I say all that because, again, people need the church, the Black church, especially. The Black church is, again, a pillar in our community, has been for a very long time. A lot of great things have come out of the Black church, but now it seems, I don't know if because of the old guard is gone, the old time preachers, not saying that they were perfect, right? And maybe the internet has something to do with it, I don't know. But it seems like we have a lot of pastors who are more concerned maybe with fame and attention and all kind of things now. Because if I was Pastor Jamal Bryant and I heard this stuff going out about the dress, I personally would have just got up in a pulpit and say, you know what? we didn't think about all that, and we did not mean to cause confusion with the dress. We always want the focus to be on the Lord and the church and things like that, because we know that the saints come to church for the word to be better, and they can, just be full of the word and all that other stuff. That's what I would have said. I wouldn't have went in with the shake it fast, show me what you're working with, and I like the dress, and you fat preachers, because the longer part of that, he was talking about preachers out of shape and all of that. And as far as Pastor Wooden is concerned, I mean, I think he should address it, and maybe he shouldn't address it that way, with the $2 hooker commentary. But I think he should have addressed it, because there needs to be some sort of conviction there. And who's better to do it than, I don't know, a pastor? I think that's probably his job. Of course, he pointed out his own wife said, thank God our first lady does not dress like that. She's a little bit more modest and things. But even with that, there's 151,000 things that I think both of them could have talked about, sans the dress, like actually helping the saints, right? Giving them the word, telling them how to be better people and how to draw closer to Jesus and, all that, right? They could have talked about building up the Black community. And y'all know how I feel about the Black church and the Black community. It said that the Black church has realized over 500 billion? Something like that since the 80s dollars. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Since the 80s. And if you go into most Black communities, you see that the Black community is dilapidated, but oftentimes the church is the nicest building in the community, depending on where you go, right? I live here in Houston, and in the Black community, sometimes you can see like 3 and 4 churches on the same block. It's like, damn, how many people in this neighborhood, right? And these churches aren't bad looking. They're nice buildings. So it's like, with all the money that's going into the Black church, maybe they can have the conversation of, okay, with all these tithes and offerings, let's go ahead and beautify the community. Let's build something. How about we build a school? And I know some churches have schools or whatever the case is, but let's like really pour into the community instead of talking about this funky dress. Now, I say funky, it probably costs $30,000. I don't know. But that's where it is now, talking about things like that. But again, in the church, you can talk about group economics. There's a lot of things you could talk about. I think pastors are supposed to be talking about the Bible. I don't know what scripture it says talk about some other lady's, dress and her lack of modesty. Now, again, I have my opinions about it. I don't really think it's about, for me, I'm not coming off about the dress. I don't like it. But I think it's sad because there's a lot of people who are confused. There's a lot of confusion about the dress. You have a lot of people saying, I don't see the problem. Y'all just jealous and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, is anybody backing any of this stuff up with scriptures? I've seen some people try to do it, but then people arguing about the scriptures, right? But again, God is not the author of confusion. Again, if the dress was not an issue, maybe people would be arguing about something else more than likely, but discussing something else. So I don't think any of that is divine or, by divine a calling, if you will. You know what I mean? And so I think for us in the Black community, and I always say this, you could tie the Black church with what party? The Democrat Party. And when I see these things, especially coming from the Black church, I have to ask myself, is this by design? Is this meant to be a distraction? Because y'all know how we get down in this community. It could be the most trivial, low-hanging fruit, and we going to talk about it until something else happens. Like we're literally, when I say we, I mean collectively, not maybe necessarily us, but we're debating a dress. We're debating a dress from somebody and her husband that should know better. You call yourself a pastor. I believe pastors know the word. I believe pastors know that you're supposed to be a pastor 24/7, not just when you're in the church, right? But again, the saints and everybody else, and I say the saints because it's arguing about the dress and is it appropriate or not? When we in the Black community are at the bottom of the totem pole as far as economics, as far as health, education, and everything else you can think of. And those two brothers who maybe, I don't know. I don't go to either one of the churches. I don't know that I would. All those things that we got going on, and they want to argue over a dress. Now, there's also stories in the Bible, and I don't want to liken his wife to like a Jezebel or Delilah or any of those people, but we've heard stories of kingdoms and things like that being destroyed over, in a sense, a wayward woman, right? Jezebel, Ahab, whatever it is, he couldn't tell her nothing. Samson, Delilah, he was like, ain't she fine? She got him to cut off his hair. The rest is history. So with that, if you're a pastor, I'm not saying you should look at your wife like a Jezebel or anything like that, but you have to think of those things. This is going to be a distraction. This is going to take up unnecessary time and space. Now back to the Democrat Party. They are in a sense the same. They keep Black people on the plantation. The Democratic Party has been likened to a plantation. The Black church has been likened to a plantation. And in a sense, not all, right? They do keep Black people distracted. Because why are we hearing people run around talking about, oh my God, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he sure did preach a good word. I ain't talking about that foolishness, them screaming and hollering, and you talking about boycotting Target and his wife's dress. I'm talking about like some stuff that people really can use, And again, I know he's was trying to start some weed business or something like that. And I think maybe he's building a grocery store now. But there's so many things that could be talked about. So we as Black people, especially in the Black American community, we got to really stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. And we got to be able to recognize a distraction when we see it and say, nope, not today, Satan. I don't care. She walked around outside with 2 cotton balls and a Band-Aid. We got other stuff to be talking about. But unfortunately, this is going to be all over the blogs. And I'm quite sure Jamal Bryant, he ain't done. I'm sure he going to... how when he be talking, he be breathing like he needs an inhaler. I'm sure he gonna, bang back on Pastor Wooden for talking about his wife. Sure, Pastor Wooden's wife is gonna be drawn in. I've seen people talk bad about her. She ugly. She dressed like the color purple and all this other stuff. And it's like, again, those men, those pastors, you're called to a higher a calling. James something. No, I don't want to mess the scripture up. It's a couple of scriptures, but you're called to a higher calling. And in fact, it says, be careful of wanting to be a teacher, a leader, or a master, because you surely will have to pay consequences for the things that you do, because you are, in a sense, up here. People will be looking at you. You will be leading the flock, the sheep, right? So yeah, you got to be operating above board, because if you don't, and you cause one of the sheep to go astray, you cause one of the sheep to go astray. Yeah, you got to answer to that. Now, the last thing I will say about this before I get into the comment section is I've been seeing this back and forth about the dress and stuff. The words that keep coming to my mind is, what would Mother Khadijah Farrakhan be doing? Would she be out there with a apparently a dress that appears to be see-through? I don't think she would. Like I said, the first lady in my church, Pastor P, I ain't never seen her breasts, legs, and thighs. I've never seen it. And she's one of the coldest dressing women I've ever seen. As most first ladies are, right? But she could put on a bad outfit. But I never thought, is she really wearing it? Wow, you can see. Never. I talk about my grandmothers. They dressed when they went to church. In fact, you couldn't go to church with my mama, and not have no slip on. I don't care if you had a burlap sack on. You was going to be dressing appropriately, especially in the house of the Lord. Of course, y'all know I was born into the nation of Islam. And, my father, who, recently went on, he was going to check you. You had on something you wasn't supposed to be wearing. He would say, ma'am. That's what he would say, ma'am, I think you need to probably rethink what you got going on. And guess what you did? You went and you changed. Right? So that's what I think about. What would those women do? They wouldn't be out there like that. See, those women should be the standard. No shade to Jamal Bryant's wife. She's not the standard. Now, does she dress like that all the time? I don't know. That seems like she doesn't dress like that all the time, but she dressed like that one time, and she's caused all that confusion. And her husband, unfortunately, he likes that, and he likes that out loud. So anyway, let me see what y'all got to say. Thank you for bearing with me. Just want to make sure I give y'all most of the context. Again, this is not the gossip about her dress. It's just the confusion and that we are always fed. And I again think this is by design. So let's see. Okay, so JJ, you say many black churches are pathetic. The number of hoochie dressed women and pimping black men is a joke, and there's absolutely no shame at all. Yeah, I've gone to church before and I've seen some things. It's like the motherboard let you in here like that. Okay. But then, you know, a lot of people misapply the scripture of, oh, it says the Bible says, come as you are. Yeah, that's for the new people. That ain't for Sister So-and-so who been up in the church for 30 years. Because Sister So-and-so is supposed to know better. Like if somebody is new and they visiting and they maybe have something on. Okay, the church is like, okay, come as you are. But I will tell you, you ain't getting in no mosque. I don't care how long. Yeah, if it's your first minute, they gonna give you a little something to put on. That's modest or whatever. But no, you ain't going up in there like that. Okay. I know the church is a little bit more liberal because they want people to go in there and get the word. But if you got something that's a little too risque and questionable, yeah, you're gonna have to, you know, ain't gonna turn you away per se, you know, but they gonna give you something to. All right, now go on and sit up in there and enjoy. So yeah, Cloudness says the black church is ridiculous and disgusting and have no shame. And I don't want to say all of the black church because all black churches don't operate that way, but unfortunately, the ones in the spotlight is kind of questionable. Like out of all the things you would want to be said about you want people to talk about that dress? I don't know. Monice, I'll put this up here because y'all names be changing and all kind of stuff. But how you doing? Oh, there you go. See, you must have changed your name. OG Patrice. I know that name, but how you doing? Shirley Salone, how you doing? Says Grand Rising. Well, Grand Rising to you as well. And his ghetto point of view. How you doing? So the church has become a pillar of salt in the community, and it's time. It's been time for the church to have come to Jesus moment. Yes, pillar of salt. Yeah, that was what Lot's wife. She turned around and she was told not to, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Yeah, they did. I don't know. The churches, in a sense, have gone away. And again, from the old school, and I'm not saying they didn't have issues then, they did, right? But it's kind of hard to tell the church the difference between the church and the world nowadays in some cases. Miss Sweets, how you doing? And thank you for joining me again. I saw you earlier as well. The Silent Investor, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Brother Reggie, how you doing? Says Jamal Bryant is number one. Jamal Bryant is not a pastor, and neither is his wife. And two, bring back choir robes. Yeah. Now, I've heard a lot of people say whether he is or he isn't. I know he used to be in Baltimore and all that, and they ran him up out of there. Guess he was trying to be an activist or tell the gangsters what to do. And they was like, you got about 3 seconds to leave. So I don't know how much of a pastor he really is. I have my questions about Pastor Jamal Bryant, but yeah. Albert Chill says maybe the Ethiopian Bible, not anything that comes from their version. Okay, so you're saying the Ethiopian Bible is the correct Bible? Yeah, you're right. The Bible has been rewritten, and it's a lot of versions of the Bible. The Almighty Green Bean says the church is the new club. It might be. Monique, how you doing? I am well, and I hope the same for you. Let's see. Kasia, what's going on with you? And his ghetto point of view says the pulpit is full of dark energy. Yeah, you know. But the other thing too is they know most people ain't gonna crack the Bible open and say, okay, where it don't say that. Can you tell me the scripture that's because I mean, a lot of times you don't even see the pastor with the Bible no more, right? He just kind of walks around and, you know, and all that, but he rarely even has a Bible, so I don't know. But they know a lot of people go to church are scared to ask the pastor any questions. They like thinking the ground is going to open up and swallow them. Queen Adaya, how you doing? And thank you for joining me once again. And thank you, Miss Sweets, for asking everybody to hit the like button. Love and appreciate you for that. Kevin, what's going on with you? Silky Danielle, what's going on? He said she lost her mind, right? Yeah, you know, but her husband is like, mind y'all business. It's my wife. She can wear what she want because I bought the dress. Okay. To say the least, Del Monte Green Beans, I'm just reading your comment. And JJ says, I think even Gino Jennings made a comment about this. Yes, I saw that. I didn't have time to put it in the video compilation, but he has taken issue with Pastor Jamal Bryant as well. And I think those are the people to do it. I think they should take him to task because it's like, what are you doing? That's not biblical for you to not be contrite about you and your wife causing confusion. Where's that biblical that you basically tell people to kiss my butt? I bought the dress. Now, I didn't say those words, but in a sense, that's the energy it was given. Mind your business. I bought the dress. That's all you need to see. That's the other thing, too. When people hold the pastor higher than the word or higher up than what Jesus said or what the Lord would say, that's the problem. Because he had the energy like, who gonna check me, boo? She'll come up in here naked tomorrow. And what y'all gonna do about it? You know what a lot of them gonna do? They gonna get the screaming and hollering and agreeing and amen. So yeah. Child of God says Sadducees and Pharisees. Sadducees and Pharisees. Gotcha. King Noble, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else is on here. Buck Horse. You say green beans. I'm watching. You don't start that hot ish. You talking about Del Monte green beans? Queen Adai says, as first lady, his wife is supposed to represent. He says Teeson. He meant the church. It's a word that you use. I'm not sure if it was a typo. It says not the strip club. Yeah, I've heard that analogy. That I mean, the dress is not bad. It's just, there's this trend going on where women are wearing these, some of them are see-through, right? And some of them appear to be see-through. For me, like when I look at the dress, I'm like, did you not know? It appears that it's see-through. Is that what you were going for? Because the dress, the details are kind of centered around her lower region. It's kind of like drawing attention there. And her bust is all out and all that. So it's like, was that on purpose? I don't know. Because some people, and my pastor from back in the day, he's passed now, but he kind of mentioned that as well. And I'm a paraphrase, but it's like, no matter how long a person has gone to church and the word that they get, that sometimes is hard to get rid of, because kind of when I see that, I'm like, are you trying to be the baddest bee, wherever? Or do you, like, almost like you have this need to, show everybody what I'm working with. But to me, I would think being a first lady is probably one of the most esteemed things that you can be. But then you kind of give it a black eye by like, you can't kill the bad bee in you type thing. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So yeah, some people just, I know I'm a first lady, but I'm going to show them what I'm working with, I guess. Let's see, skip down just a little bit. Yeah, she's supposed to be a representation of Yahweh. Just skipping down. Albert Chill says, money doesn't excuse indecency. I agree with you. Sometimes money makes people indecent. Brother Reggie says he did comment on Cam Newton's legs and some lotion. Says laugh out loud, man. What y'all doing down there in Atlanta? Yeah, I heard about that. I guess when he was on Cam Newton's on his podcast, he said something about his legs. It's like, why are you up in my legs like that? Leader, how you doing? He says he was basically holding Jamal accountable. Yeah, but Leader, there's a lot of people who are mad at Pastor Wooden for doing that, dragging his wife and all kinds of stuff. He needs to mind his business. And, again, he didn't call her. He made a point to say, I'm not calling her a $2 streetwalker, but he's saying she gave that appearance and that Jamal Bryant was, in a sense, doubling down. I bought the dress. Like I said, I think he probably should just apologize. Everybody could have moved on. But no, I think there's going to be a part 2 to that. Silky Danielle, thank you so much. Love and appreciate you for that. I really do. Thank you. Sister Shirley says, I believe he wanted men to lust over his wife. like, look what I got. Oh, totally. Now I know there's this saying a lot of men say, well, if ain't nobody looking at her, I don't want her, but I think it's a little bit different for pastors. And listen, a man is a man. I'm not trying to speak for one, but he can see you fine without you having to show everything. A man can see you got it going on. If you had a burlap sack on, a man could see that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it could be some of that. Sister Khadijah, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says, I know as a Muslim woman, if I'm wearing anything other than what the standard is, non-Muslim will hold me accountable by the standard of a Muslim. Yeah, but we can't do that no more. I'm not saying we as far as, the Muslim, but I'm saying just in society. You hating, right? And the Sister Khadijah, I know you've seen people say, oh, hey, people just hating. Oh, they just hating now because she this, that, and the other. Like, is it hating or is it like, my God, you're a pastor's wife and you're wearing that? She should be held accountable, but Pastor Jamal Bryant pretty much told everybody, who gonna check me, boo? You can't hold me and my wife accountable. But as I said, if a whole bunch of, big booty sisters had went up into the church the following Sunday, have dressed or having anything like that on, I guarantee the usher board would have been like, no, ma'am. You're not coming in here like that. So is it just good for his wife, or we're like, what are we doing? So yeah. Let's see, skipping on down. Who else haven't I seen? Because I want to make sure I catch up. And this, and I know I jacked that up, but how you doing? Valdosta. My mama was born in Valdosta, Georgia. Sure was. The time that I visited, I think I was like 10 or so. They literally had dirt roads there and houses were on stilts. I don't know if it's still like that, but I was like, Mom, this where you from? It was just like where that particular part was just again, when I was 10, 44 years ago, it almost seemed like it was just kind of left behind a little bit, but lovely people and family in there and stuff. But yeah, but welcome. Okay. Sister Khadijah he says she looked like she was. Yeah. So he didn't call her a $2 hooker. He said she looked like that. He made it a point to say I was not talking about her. Hey, Mildred, how you doing? Long time no see. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. Let me skip down just a tiny bit. Beverly White, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Simply Sandra, what's going on? He says, I'm back, Demetra. Well, I'm glad to see you back. It says, peace from my vacation wedding. Oh, you got married. Okay. Says a wedding that didn't. It says that didn't. He says my niece was going to. Oh, okay. Your niece was going to marry this pastor. They were saying their vows until he said the word obey. My niece. What? So when he said the word obey, your niece canceled the wedding. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, of course, as Miss Queen K be tripping, but she's real black. I do be tripping sometimes. Okay, let's see. Leader says, it was just crazy work how he criticized everyone from the pulpit. Yeah. Mr. South Carolina, how you doing? Good evening to you. And Mike says, take it off Tuesday. No, we don't take it off. Put it on. Sister Laverne, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Queen of Dice says he wants to make sure his eye candy is seen. I mean, ain't that supposed to be for you? Why do you want everybody lusting after your wife? She ain't got nothing a lot of women don't have, right? You can go to the Walmart and see that. Maybe not in that dress, but I don't want to say she ain't special because that may seem like I'm hating, but all right. And Sister Khadijah says, yep, Timothy. So talking about the one of the scriptures I was reading. Okay, so let's see. What, Buckhorse? Now I can't read that. Lynette, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. The 1312156, how you doing? Says he said, I said, he said, huh? I said he needs to be in the mood to clap. I ain't gonna read that either, but I get the gist. And we say he, you mean Jamal Bryant? Yeah, jackleg preachers and all that. Let's see. Original man, how you doing? Says, and a walaikum salam to you. Says, teach hard truth, queen. Love this world is enmity with Allah. He says James 4:4. And thank you for that. Let's see. And Sister Khadijah says, I'm glad he addressed it because that behavior influenced others in the folk. He says he is making sure that others don't bring that in his house. Yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. But again, you can't say nothing to a lot of people. Oh, you tripping. Oh, that's wrong. That's not what a pastor's supposed to be. No, it's like, so what do you go to church for? And that's kind of how I take exception to a lot of things that go on in the church, because it's like either people aren't listening or maybe they're not really I don't know. Because why do you not see a problem with that? Again, that don't mean that the lady needs to be stoned or nothing. Nobody's saying that. But to even try to defend that is crazy to me. But again, I don't go to church. Maybe I should. I don't know. But it's a lot of confusion, you know. Sherman, how you doing? Says these mega churches are about money. Anytime you have bank machines and one down and giving your tax forms to these folks is sad, but God exposes these false prophets. Yes, I've heard all about the tax forms and the ATMs, and I think they got Cash App and stuff now. So yeah. Sister Laverne says, so true. No teaching the kids and skills, a free daycare center, etc. Damn the church. Yeah, there's a lot of things they could be doing. They used to do those things, honestly. Sister Shirley says what he wanted was for men to lust over her. This probably turns him on. It could. They have names for men like that. I won't use them here, but Sherman says they could do so much for the people. They sure could. And thank you. I appreciate that. Eddie, how you doing? Says, if she had children, I have to wonder, what do they think of this? Because if my mother dressed like that, I would not like it. Yeah. Hey, listen, there's a lot of mothers who you can't tell the difference between the mamas and the daughters. You can't. They both wearing the same clothes. You know, a wise man once said, nowadays, you can't tell the difference between the housewife and a streetwalker, you know? So a lot of, not a lot, but some mothers are dressing like their daughters. They be shopping at Rainbow together and wearing the same 2 cotton balls and a Band-Aid. Hell, they might even bump into each other at the same club. And they might go together. So yeah, it's sad. Ken, how you doing? Says most of the black churches are 501c funded. It says by the government. Also, Jamal took over Eddie Long's old church. We know what Eddie was into. So they say, right? Yeah, he did take over that church. That's a whole different conversation. There's a movie called Honk If You Love Jesus. One of the best movies that I've ever seen. Honk If You Love Jesus with Sterling K. Brown and Regina. Is it Regina Hall? I think her name is. The Regina Hall, one of them. One of the best movies I've ever seen. But you know who didn't like it? The church. They did not like that movie at all. Honk If You Love Jesus. Because a lot of people didn't understand it. I understood it perfectly. And I think it was a spin off of what happened with Eddie Long, you know? And it was definitely an indictment. I don't even necessarily know of the pastor, but of the congregation. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw that movie, but some of the things that he did in that movie was just over the top foolish. And it took people that they wouldn't leave. They were like, you know, some of the stuff that he did, and they stayed. So I think it was kind of an indictment on the congregation, the people to go to the sheep, right? Like, y'all allowed this to happen, you know? So yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie. Lady Diana, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. I missed you too. Opal, how you doing? Long time no see. Lady D, what's going on? Says Jamal is an attention seeker. Yeah, it seems like. And I even heard Ricky Smiley and them yesterday. They were defending it, talking about, well, we standing with Pastor Jamal Bryant, because you know they all in fraternities and stuff together. But there was one, maybe 2 people on the show that's like, nah, I don't stand with that, you know. But Ricky Smiley was like, well, we stand with him. Why? Why would you stand with that? You know, Alex, how you doing? Says, yes, the Bible says, come as you are. You're supposed to leave change. There you go. Again, that don't mean for people who've been up in the church since Methuselah was up in there. Okay. Because you're supposed to know better. Talk about, well, it says, come as you are. Nah, not you, Sister Glodadine. Okay. You knew Jesus. Y'all went to high school together. So that don't mean you. Opal says, Pastor Jamal suggested that she wear that dress. He also paid for it because he wanted her to be seen in the dress. Yeah. And look at all the attention that's being taken away from God. People are discussing a dress that most of us cannot afford to buy. I'm sure it costs a pretty penny, but we're arguing over a dress when we should be discussing the word and how to become better people. They say there's this place that I don't want to get into all that, but depending on what you believe, there's a heaven and there's a hell. And ain't that's what they supposed to be doing up in there, teaching you how to get to heaven where you can be washed white as snow, walk amongst the streets of gold and see the cattle on 1,000 hills, when we know you're supposed to be doing all that here on earth. But again, depending on what that's what they supposed to be teaching. We arguing over a dress. Corey, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hey, Al, how you doing? It says Jamal, and forgive me, I'm belabored in the comments. Okay, so he says Jamal did tell his church not to pay tithes so they can have money for the holidays. Or isn't that nice? Most people didn't have money for the holidays any damn way. Right? Though for tithes or offerings or any of that. So it's like, oh, thank you. Okay. Gloria, how you doing? Says Shalom. Demetri says, hope you're doing great. I'm doing great. It says, I was always taught, don't let your good be evil spoken of. She should have known better. Well, her husband is standing 10 toes down. Mr. Norris, how you doing? I'm so happy to see you. I have missed you indeed. Now, I always see somebody saying, and Micah C saying hi to Jessica. I don't see a Jessica on here for some reason, but maybe I don't know, but hi, Jessica, if you're on here. Okay, let's see. Constance, how you doing? Nice to see you again as well. Beverly says, I missed the church from the 1970s and 80s. It was really about God and Jesus back then. Maybe more so. They had foolishness in the church as well, but I think now it's so unapologetic, the things that we hear. Brother Reddy says, and tell that fool Jamal is revelation, not revelations. Sassy man, put an S on everything. You know what's so funny? When I was looking at that scripture, I laughed about that because most people do pronounce it revelations. It's revelations, but it is revelation. But we ain't gonna pronounce too many things right. We try our best. Miss Sweet says the situation where the congregation should have left the church, left them two by themselves to worship Satan. No, because a lot of people in the church don't know the word. They believe that the pastor is the end all be all. What he says goes. And ordinarily, right, if he's leading the flock the right way. But a lot of people, they don't care. They go for style and symbolism and the hooting and the hollering. Again, y'all know I always say, you hear people say, oh, you should go to, oh man, my church, they was just the others. Like, okay, well, what was he saying? I don't know, but it sure was good. You don't know what he was talking about? Well, I just know it was good. That's all I can tell you. You should come with me next week. Avenge the ancestors, how you doing? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see, James, how you doing? Well, happy New Year to you as well, TV husband. Pop, how you doing? And I'm glad to see you again. And I will be on the African Diaspora News Channel at 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow as well to have another great conversation. Mr. Norris says, what's worse? He probably bought it with the members' money. So you're going to get in trouble now. Miss Sweet says they going to hold Bible study at Magic City for real. It says this is only the beginning. Well, they probably could, right? It'd be kind of hard to focus with the heels all up in the air, but yeah. Sister Khadijah says, teach. I'm trying. Jay Bubba, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says Jamal Bryant Church is Magic City. I ain't gonna go that far. African Native, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. Brother John Sanders, how are you doing? What you laughing at? I know I ain't got no sense. She says, yes, Valdosta is still that way in some areas. See, I told you I wasn't making that up. Valdosta, dirt roads and houses on stilts. Yes, indeed. That was like 80, probably like 81, 82 when I went. It was a long time ago. My God, I'm old. Simply Sandra, you say, yes, he did, girl. He wants a wife to obey him. Well, you're supposed to obey your husband. I ain't talking about, kneel down, woman. I ain't talking about like that, but depending on what you believe, people believe all kind of things. But if you're traditional, right? You believe that the husband is the head of the household, right? There's God, there's the husband, then there's you. And you were supposed to submit, obey, and all that. Now, I get it. Some people say, well, what if he ain't? Then you shouldn't be going down the aisle and hopping over no room with a man that is not submitting to God. I don't know if it's rule number one. I'd imagine it's pretty close, but he's supposed to submit to God, because if he ain't submitting to God, then he ain't gonna lead you nowhere. So probably shouldn't be obeying that. But that's the stuff you should know before you be getting up to the altar, right? I imagine she should have known that he wanted her to obey him. You should obey your husband. Again, I'm not talking about nothing, barbaric and prehistoric where you just club you over the head. I ain't talking like that kind of stuff. I'm saying in general. Because what happens is you have two people who are trying to be the head of the household, and you clashing, you fighting, and you ain't gonna stay married long. But I don't know. I can't tell people what to do, as I do not have a ring on my finger. Anthony, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Brother Sammy, what's going on with you? Says, I agree with you on the dress, of course, but Mr. Bryant made a good point about fat preachers and hypocrisy. Yeah, he did. But in a sense, I think it's gaslighting. I think it's gaslighting to make a point about fat preachers, because was it just fat preachers that took exception to what his wife was wearing? I don't know. I don't think it was just fat preachers, but it dodges accountability, because you're deflecting in a sense. Well, yeah, I know my wife had a dress that looked like it was nude, but you're fat. That's kind of what he's doing. And it's like, if you can't be held accountable, then you shouldn't be in the pulpit. But see, a lot of those pastors have hubris in a sense. It's all about me. It's because I said so. You don't question me. Like they're God. You should be able to question your pastor. Of course, you want to be respectful, but to deflect and say because they fat, they shouldn't be able to say, hey, pastor, your wife's dress is kind of a distraction. So what if they are fat? You can't be fat and hold somebody accountable? And I'm not saying you're saying this, Brother Samuel, but I'm just saying, because I've heard that. It's a deflection. It's like, yeah, but, So yeah, Choice, how you doing? Says that was not appropriate, plain and simple. Yes, I agree with you, but there's a lot of other people like, wow. Hey, Troy says, I think they just wanted some attention. They know how people will respond like that. Yeah, but it's wrong to want that attention and you take that from God. You mean people should have been talking, like they said, about the $4 million that they raised. It shouldn't have waited till the dress became a controversy before you said, well, did you know about the $4 million? You didn't make the $4 million more important. Your wife's, going out there like that was more important, Hey, Brother Todd, he says he been wanting to show her off and she been wanting to do that. And that's why they did it. I guess, right? I mean, you can see she's a beautiful woman without all of that. I mean, I've seen her with clothes on that particular day that he was in the pulpit going off on people. She had a nice outfit on. I'm like, where'd she get that from? Now, I'm sure she got it somewhere that, my money won't go, but I liked it, right? She was covered up real nice. I mean, it was just a gorgeous outfit. So yeah, I guess. Yeah, Honk If You Love Jesus was really good. If you haven't seen that movie, I forget where it's streaming, but it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. But a lot of people just didn't like the movie. They didn't understand it, I think. Maybe we could have like a course on it or something. We could like talk about the things that were in there. Yvette, how you doing? He says, why represent Jezebel and not Mary? Well, a lot of people that like Jezebel, they think Jezebel is the woman you should be. Hard-headed, can't say nothing to her. I'ma do what I want. You do what I say do. And that a lot of women think that's what the woman you should be. But again, we've moved away from that, right? Because in a sense, when I say I mean collectively, right? Our mothers and our grandmothers have moved away from being the woman of respectability. As I said, I'm 50. I'll be 55 in April, but so I guess maybe I'm closer to that, where you saw women dressed like they had some sense. They wore stockings and all of that. They didn't have a problem saying nothing to you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You're not coming in here like that. Those women didn't care. They was like, be mad at everybody. You can be mad at me. I don't care. You're not coming into the house of God like that. Or anywhere for that matter, right? But nowadays you can't say nothing to them. A lot of women, not all, I don't even know most, but a lot of women, they resonate with Jezebel more. Because I'm the bad boss, this, that, and the other, bad bee. And I guess if you study Jezebel, she was in a sense a bad bee. And look how that turned out for Ahab. Sister Laverne said, stop, Sister Demetria. We get what you're saying. I don't know if Jamal Bryant is like Eddie Long. If you know about Eddie Long, yeah, he was accused of doing some things I don't think anybody should be accused of. Brother Don, how you doing? I should have had you up here because I know you know the Bible. Georgette, how you doing? Georgetta, rather. He said, what? He told the church not to pay tithes during the holidays. Ain't that supposed to be the other way around? The church should be paying his members for the holidays. Yeah, I didn't hear nothing about that, but yeah. I mean, it's like, thank you. I can go shopping and spend money with corporations that ain't going to give it back to me, and I'm going to be broke anyway. Why not tell me to save the money? Maybe he did. I don't know. Pop says, I want to create a sitcom and name it the what? You do it and let me know when it airs. Africanator says he can cast out demons. And you talking about the pastor? Yeah. Depending on what you believe, I would say that I've seen it done. Okay, so let me skip down. Lisa, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Brother Thunder in the building. Hope you're having a great day. Oh, I got to the bottom. I cannot believe it. Okay, so Africanator says, yes, the pastor. And Gloria says, rebellion is of witchcraft. There's a whole lot of witchcraft going on, sorcery too. You know what? That's a whole different conversation. You're absolutely right. It's sad. But again, as I always say, especially in our community, but nowadays, the mother or the woman, especially the older women, they're not really seen as a voice of authority, a source of respectability, and a lot of I don't know. And I just think that because we've stopped teaching our children to listen, to take correction. As I tell you all the time, I got a daughter that's 33. She could do what she wants, but at the end of the day, she still listens to me because I taught her to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not telling her to do anything, that's bad. And she's not doing anything bad, but sometimes I might say something to her and she may think about it. And then for the most part, she'll say, okay, right? I don't have those problems because again, I've taught her, hey, be able to take advice. Now, does she take advice all the time? Sometimes we, we get into it, but nothing major. But I say that to say, yeah, we got to start teaching our children to listen, to take advice. I'm not telling you anything to hurt you. I'm telling you things that, make you better. I don't want people to see you as this type of person, this, that, and the other. Yes, you could wear that. You got a nice body and all that, but should you? Do you want the attention to be on the wrong things? Don't you want people to see and know you and not all that? I mean, some of the stuff you see people have on, and I'm speaking for the women. I can't speak for the men. I'm speaking for the women because I am one. Some of the stuff you see people or some of these women wearing is like, where's the rest of it? Like I see your whole butt. You ain't got no mama, no grandmama, nobody at home. Somebody say, that ain't it. So we got to get back to that. We got to get back to not being afraid to teach. We're afraid. And if you're an older woman like myself, I said older, not old, you have to start setting the example. As I say, I'm the matriarch of my immediate family now, right? Because my mom is gone, my grandmothers are gone, and all that. And so there's things that I cannot do when I was younger. Not that I dressed terrible when I was younger, but I was younger, okay? There's things I cannot do. There's things I shouldn't do because I can't teach the younger women how to be respectable. If I got everything hanging out, legs, breasts, and thighs all over, and I'm trying to be the hottest older woman everywhere I go, certain things that I say, I have to be the example. So we have to start with being the example again so that we won't have to have these conversations, because my father used to always say the children drink from the mother, as the mother is the first teacher, right? She is, in a sense, the circle of influence, because more than likely, depending on the circumstances, the children are around the mother more. So they're going to draw from her. So if you see your mom speaking respectable and she's thinking respectable and she's dressing that way, that's not really a conversation you're going to have a lot. not an admonishment anyway. You might have every once in a while, because there's these things called peer pressure, right? Where the kids might, well, my friend, her mama let her. Well, her mama ain't me, you know? But your children, they just kind of, that's how they're raised. My mom doesn't dress like that. My mom have clothes on. And my mama fine, right? Because fine is here. Fine is not necessarily what your body, because gravity is going to have its way, which is why, man, I ain't even trying to go here, but it's why you see a lot of people, women, and our women especially, run around with all this plastic surgery. And I'm not trying to shame anybody, but we see a lot of women run around with plastic surgery because they just don't want to grow old gracefully. I mean, you can grow old and still look good if you take care of yourself, right? But it's like eventually you're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to mature and say, I'm just speaking for me, right? Gray hair is a part of life. Saggy skin, wrinkles, it's a part of life. It happens. Because what happens is when you go around and you trying to, and all that, you teach your children, well, you can't grow old gracefully. You got to go and get it sucked, tucked, plucked, stitched, and a whole host of things. And before I go, I told y'all the story a long time ago. My daughter was like, I don't know, 1, 2, maybe 3. And in the 90s, the style was to cut your hair real low and wear finger waves and things. Again, I'm not trying to shame anybody, but I had it kind of close to blonde. And my friend did as well. So my daughter, she thought my friend was white. She's black, right? Black like me. And she said, she's white. I said, no, she's not white. Yes, she is. She's white. I said, why do you think she's white? She says, because her hair is yellow. It's blonde. I don't know if she said blonde, but it's yellow. And it woke me up. I said, oh, okay. Me and my friend having blonde hair is giving my daughter, who's a very chocolate, young lady, I'm giving her a false perception of who I am. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm just speaking for me. So I stopped doing that because I didn't want her to grow up with perception other than I was proud to be a Black woman. So I never did it again because I wanted to teach her, no, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the color your hair is and all of that. And I realized it really in that moment that she's watching me. And I'm going to shape what she thinks about herself just by the very look of how I present myself. And I decided that I didn't want her to have to think that way. So we have to be very careful. So, hey, Ernest, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. So anyway, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I will be back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time. And I'll also be on the African Diaspora News Channel at 11 a.m. Central Time. Please join me. Both times I will put up a notice for the African Diaspora News Channel. So until then, y'all have a great rest of your evening. Peace. Yes, Miss Sweets, Black is beautiful. And how you doing? Peace.